Come and meet me face to face. I'll eat Froch alive and I'll eat Bellew alive. And by the way, Bellew...
John Fury just threatened to end Carl Froch's career in the most explosive airport confrontation boxing has ever seen. And what happened next proves this feud is about to spiral completely out of control. The moment these two legends came face to face, you could feel the violence in the air. Fury was visibly shaking with rage, throwing direct threats at the former world champion while passengers scrambled to get out of the way. But here's what nobody's talking about. This wasn't some random encounter. Sources close to both camps say this meeting was orchestrated, and the real reason behind it will blow your mind.
Fuck off.
Here's where things get absolutely insane. John Fury wasn't backing down for a second. Standing in the middle of that crowded terminal, he doubled down with an even more aggressive message that had security rushing from every direction. The man was projecting pure confidence, making it crystal clear that Carl Froch doesn't intimidate him one bit. But get this, witnesses say Fury's entourage was filming the entire confrontation, almost like they wanted this to go viral. And when you see what Carl Froch said next, you'll understand why some people think this whole thing was planned from the beginning. Because Froch's response wasn't just a comeback. It was a calculated destruction of everything John Fury represents.
I'll let you in first. I'll let you.
Now listen to this part, because Carl Froch absolutely destroyed John Fury with the coldest warning you've ever heard. The former world champion didn't raise his voice, didn't get emotional, just delivered a bone-chilling message that made everyone around them go completely silent. Froch spoke with the calm confidence of a man who's been in real wars, not just family drama and social media beef. And suddenly, all of John's loud threats started looking like desperate posturing from someone who's never actually stepped in the ring with elite competition. But here's the kicker: Froch's warning included details about John's past that most people don't know about, and it's way darker than anyone realizes.
Don't come anywhere near me, nowhere in the vicinity within my jab, or you will be getting ironed out. You'll be unconscious. You'll be snoring before you hit the floor. Big John Fury, the bare-knuckle champion, the fighting man. You'll be asleep before you hit the floor. So don't...
But wait, it gets worse. Gareth Davies was right there filming everything, and he revealed just how close this situation came to turning into an absolute bloodbath. Both entourages were squaring up, voices were rising, and you could see in everyone's eyes that one wrong move would have triggered complete chaos. We're talking about dozens of people in a packed airport terminal, all ready to throw down for their respective camps. Security had to form a literal human wall between the two groups, and even then, witnesses say John Fury kept trying to push through to get at Froch. The craziest part? Airport police reviewed the footage and confirmed that if this had escalated, multiple people could have faced serious criminal charges. This wasn't just boxing drama, this was a potential riot waiting to happen.
About 25 in each team. There's about 150 international media here as well in the mezzanine floor. It was still dramatic anyway, but thankfully the security did a great job as well and calmed it all down.
And here's where John Fury's explanation makes everything even more controversial. Instead of apologizing or showing any kind of restraint, he actually tried to justify his aggressive behavior by claiming it's just how he reacts when someone disrespects him. Listen to what he said. He framed this entire confrontation as completely normal, like threatening people in airports is just part of his daily routine. The man showed zero remorse, zero accountability, and basically told the world that if you step to him, you better be ready for the consequences. But boxing insiders are saying this attitude is exactly what's been holding back his son Tyson's career, because promoters are getting sick of dealing with the family drama that follows every major fight. And when you hear what Roman Fury said in defense of his father, you'll see that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Because when I was in amongst them, all I could hear was badness. You know, so at the end of it, some little idiot come forward, I knew he was in my space. He got what he got, and that's the end of it. It happens every other week for me, that.
Roman Fury's defense of his dad somehow made the situation even worse. Instead of trying to calm things down or show some maturity, he came out swinging with even more aggressive language, basically threatening that the entire Fury family is ready to fight Carl Froch if needed. The kid was talking about smoke, and confrontation like this is some street beef instead of professional boxing business. And get this, Roman specifically mentioned other family members who are supposedly ready to step up, which means this feud could expand way beyond just John and Carl. Boxing analysts are saying this kind of attitude is exactly what's wrong with modern boxing, where family drama and social media beef gets more attention than actual athletic competition. But the most damaging part, Roman's comments made it clear that the Fury camp sees this as a way to stay relevant, not as a problem that needs to be solved.
Bad behavior, Fury team, Fury father. It's problem only.
Oaksender Usyk dropped a bomb that nobody saw coming, and it completely shifted the narrative around this entire controversy. The unified heavyweight champion pointed out that all the bad behavior, all the threats, all the unprofessional conduct is coming from one side, the Fury camp. And when a fighter of Usyk's caliber calls out your family's behavior, that's not just criticism, that's a career-damaging statement that promoters and sponsors pay attention to. Usyk framed this as a discipline issue rather than just rivalry beef, which means he's questioning whether the Fury family has the professionalism needed for elite-level boxing. But here's what's really wild. Sources close to Usyk say he's been documenting the Fury family's behavior for months, building a case that could affect future fight negotiations. Because if you're a promoter trying to put together a massive event, do you really want to deal with airport confrontations and family drama that could derail your entire investment?
He's behaved like a thug in a disgusting manner, and then he's able to just laugh it off and joke it off and say, you know what, anyone comes near me, they're going to get a headbutt. So it's kind of justified what he's done. He's been vindicated for what he's done, as in, yeah, it's okay to go around like that and behave like an imbecile, and then still laugh and joke and still threaten to headbutt me in belly. I've told you what I think about headbutting this.
Carl Froch unleashed the most brutal character assassination I've ever heard in boxing, and it completely exposed John Fury's true nature. Froch called the behavior thuggish and disrespectful, but then he went deeper, criticizing how Fury allegedly acts tough and then treats serious threats like they're some kind of joke. The former super middleweight champion was visibly disgusted, demanding that security keep the Fury camp away from him at all future events. But here's the part that really stings. Froch pointed out that this kind of conduct has no place in professional boxing culture, which is basically saying that John Fury doesn't belong in elite boxing circles. And when you consider that Froch still has massive influence with promoters and broadcasters, those words could seriously damage the Fury family's ability to negotiate future fights. Because nobody wants to work with people who turn professional events into street confrontations.
A man's face in front of a hall with over 500 people, what do you expect someone to do? Pushing and shoving, and we all know Big John's quick-tempered, you know what I mean? But he threw the headbutt first, so it is what it is, but I think when you're getting someone's first and you're tolerating them.
Isaac Lowe tried to defend the situation, but his explanation actually made things sound even more dangerous. Lowe suggested that confrontation was inevitable once these two got face-to-face in front of hundreds of people, which basically admits that John Fury can't control himself in public settings. He pointed out that any pushing or shoving could trigger an even stronger reaction, especially considering Fury's reputation for losing his temper when challenged publicly. But think about what that means for future boxing events. If John Fury can't be trusted to behave professionally at press conferences and public appearances, how can promoters risk having him around? Lowe's defense accidentally revealed that everyone around John Fury knows he's a liability. They're just hoping they can manage the situation before it explodes. And that's exactly the kind of reputation that gets you banned from major boxing events.
Within my jab, or you will be getting ironed out. You'll be unconscious. You'll be snoring.
Eddie Hearn's solution to this mess reveals just how serious the boxing world is taking this threat. The top promoter in the sport basically said that John Fury and Carl Froch need to be kept separated by heavy security at all times, which is an admission that neither man can be trusted to act professionally in public. When someone like Eddie Hearn, who's promoted some of the biggest fights in boxing history, says you need security separation, that's not just a precaution, that's treating you like a legitimate safety risk. And here's what's really telling. Hearn's statement suggests that behind the scenes, promoters and officials are genuinely worried that this verbal hostility could turn into physical violence if they don't enforce strict control measures. But the most damaging part, this kind of security requirement makes both men harder to promote, because venues and broadcasters don't want to deal with the extra costs and liability risks that come with managing unstable personalities.
You honestly think if these two come together like this, you know what's going to happen?
So what you
I'm going to keep.
Carl Froch revealed something that changes everything about how we should view this confrontation. He described John Fury's behavior as genuinely threatening, not just heated banter or promotional trash talk. Froch pointed out that someone who wasn't mentally prepared for that level of intimidation could have been seriously affected by the threats and aggressive behavior. And when he mentioned prison and warning messages, he was basically saying that John Fury crossed the line from sports rivalry into actual criminal intimidation. This isn't about building hype for a potential fight. This is about one man using fear and threats to try to control another man's behavior. Boxing insiders are saying that Froch's willingness to go public with these details means he's genuinely concerned about his safety, which could lead to restraining orders and legal action that would permanently damage the Fury family's reputation in boxing.
Being quite, if I was a bit of a snowflake, then I'd have been upset, I'd have been offended by it, because it was threatening, he was calling it on, and he was saying basically watch your back, and you don't want to go back to prison. So he needs to be careful, doesn't he? I mean, he's talking about going back to prison, so he's putting loose.
Frank Warren's reaction proves that even John Fury's own promotional allies are getting fed up with his behavior. Warren, who's worked with the Fury family for years, expressed genuine discomfort with the confrontation and emphasized that aggressive behavior isn't necessary when you already have a good fight to promote. Coming from a promoter who's seen every kind of boxing drama imaginable, that's a devastating critique of John Fury's judgment and professionalism. Warren pointed out that the incident went beyond what should be expected in professional boxing promotion, which means he's basically saying that John Fury is hurting the sport's image. And here's the business reality. If Frank Warren, who has financial incentives to support the Fury family, is publicly criticizing John's behavior, that means the conduct is so bad it's actually costing them money and opportunities.
King of the world. I think he's referring to Tyson Fury. When you have kids, most people, when they want to talk about their children, they might pull their mobile phone out and show a few pictures. Big John just shows you his balls. That's where they came from. If there's anyone who needs a Manscaped advert, it's fucking John Fury.
But here's where the story takes a wild turn. Johnny Nelson offered a completely different perspective, suggesting that John Fury's actions might have actually served a promotional purpose by creating massive attention and excitement around potential future events. According to Nelson's view, the controversy succeeded in generating conversation and keeping both men in the public discussion, which is exactly what modern boxing promotion is designed to do. However, Nelson also implied that the behavior wasn't genuinely sportsmanlike, which means he's acknowledging that John Fury is basically playing a character for promotional purposes. But critics are firing back, arguing that excitement built on real threats and intimidation risks creating a culture where actual violence becomes acceptable in boxing promotion. And when you look at what happened next, you'll see that this promotional strategy might have backfired in the worst possible way.
Watch on fight, because I'm quite sure Carl's going to rip the life out of John after today. I think John did a job. John did a job and got the excitement going, got people talking. That's exactly what.
The moment that proves this entire situation is spiraling out of control came when John Fury started moving directly toward Carl Froch with unclear but obviously aggressive intentions. Witnesses say there was genuine uncertainty about what Fury intended to do if he actually reached Froch, which created a terrifying atmosphere where anything could have happened. And while some media outlets tried to frame this as harmless entertainment, the reality is that press conference drama has increasingly become a dangerous part of modern boxing promotion, where real violence is always just one moment away from erupting. Security footage reportedly shows John Fury's facial expressions and body language indicating genuine intent to physically confront Froch, which means this wasn't just theatrical posturing for the cameras. Boxing commissions are now reviewing the incident to determine if disciplinary action is needed, because they can't allow the sport to become associated with uncontrolled aggression and potential violence at promotional events.
Fury, being John Fury, went straight for him. I'm not quite sure what he was going to do if he got to him, but I guess that was the entertainment from the press conference.
Adam Smith tried to downplay the rivalry by suggesting that both John Fury and Carl Froch are just colorful personalities who enjoy expressing controversial opinions as part of boxing's entertainment culture. But his analysis completely misses the point about where entertainment ends and genuine threats begin. Smith argued that moments like this keep fans engaged because the sport thrives on strong characters and public debate. But he also included a subtle warning that such behavior should remain within the boundaries of friendly rivalry. The problem is that boxing history shows us exactly what happens when controversial personalities cross the line from entertainment into actual hostility. Careers get destroyed, legal problems emerge, and the sport's professional image gets damaged. And when you consider that both men have reputations and business interests that could be seriously affected by this feud, the stakes are way higher than just entertainment value.
What I do know is that John Fury and Carl Froch on the cobbles will be fun. I think they both have a good fun doing that, but I'm sure it's all fun and games. They like to say what they believe. They like to say something that's controversial, and they're two big characters.
Spencer Oliver's analysis of who would win in an actual fight between John Fury and Carl Froch reveals just how seriously the boxing community is taking this potential matchup. Oliver acknowledged how difficult it is to predict a winner, but he specifically highlighted Froch's incredible physical condition even at 48 years old, suggesting that the former world champion still carries the competitive edge and technical skills that made him elite. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Oliver mentioned that John Fury has been extending this confrontation toward other boxing legends, which means this feud could expand into multiple fights and create an entire series of events. The discussion reinforces how personal history and fighting reputation are mixing together in ways that could either create massive pay-per-view opportunities or complete career destruction for everyone involved. And boxing insiders are saying that if this conflict ever moves from verbal confrontation to actual sanctioned fights, the financial and reputational stakes could be absolutely enormous.
John Fury, Carl Froch, who wins that one?
Difficult one to call, that. Really? You got to go with the Cobra. You got to go with the Cobra, mate.
Really?
The Cobra's dangerous. He's still in shape. 48 years of age.
John's standing over there behind you.
You got to go with John Fury. Yeah, no, it kicked off a little bit. But it wasn't only Carl Froch that he went into either, did he? He actually went into Lennox Lewis as well. He started steaming into Lennox Lewis a little bit, and I go, whoa.
Dave Allen's reaction perfectly captures the complicated relationship many people in boxing have with controversial figures like John Fury. Allen admitted that he doesn't support the aggressive behavior, but he still maintains personal respect and friendship with John, which shows how personal loyalty can exist alongside professional criticism. His statement suggests that while the airport incident was completely unacceptable from a professional standpoint, it's also not entirely surprising given Fury's well-established pattern of outspoken and confrontational behavior. Allen's willingness to separate personal character from professional conduct highlights an ongoing debate in boxing about whether controversial personalities should be judged by their worst moments or their overall contributions to the sport. But the most telling part of Allen's response is that even John's friends are acknowledging that his behavior crossed a line, which means the criticism is coming from inside his own circle of support.
I'm not saying that I condone that behaviour, because I don't. You can't, it's impossible to. But John is my mate, I've got respect for him, I respect the family, we're cool. So you're never going to hear me say a bad word about it, but at the same time, obviously, no. It's probably not the Steve Bunce thing. I thought, bloody hell. Didn't like it, really.
The long-standing tension between John Fury and Carl Froch runs much deeper than most people realize, and Liam Goh's explanation reveals how this rivalry has been building through months of public mentions and verbal exchanges. The discussion has even evolved to include the possibility of an actual exhibition-style fight, though financial negotiations and contractual conditions remain major obstacles to making it happen. John Fury's statement that he would only fight if the money was right contrasts sharply with Froch's suggestion of turning any potential event into a charity-based contest, which shows how the two men have completely different motivations and priorities. This fundamental disagreement about money versus charitable purposes reveals that the rivalry has shifted from pure sport into a complex mix of business interests, public spectacle, and personal ego that could be almost impossible to resolve professionally.
Was doing that and goading Carl Froch, and I know John Fury doesn't like Carl Froch. Carl Froch mentions him, although I haven't really watched much of Carl Froch's videos lately. But Carl Froch, I know, has mentioned John Fury in the past. He's had a go with John Fury. They actually talked about having an actual, was it an exhibition or a boxing type match? And John Fury, the, you know, any man, any time, was saying words to the effect of, oh, I'll fight you, Carl Froch, but the money has to be right. And Carl Froch basically said, all right, well, if we arrange payment, it can go to...
So here's where we stand with this absolute mess of a situation. John Fury and Carl Froch have created the most explosive rivalry in modern boxing, but it's built on real threats, genuine hostility, and professional behavior that's damaging the sport's reputation. The tension has moved way beyond normal promotional trash talk into territory where legal action, security requirements, and career consequences are all on the table. And while some people want to see this turn into an actual fight, the reality is that both men have way more to lose than they have to gain from continuing this feud. The question isn't whether they could put on an entertaining fight. It's whether the boxing world should reward this kind of behavior with massive paydays and mainstream attention. So here's what I want to know from you. Drop it in the comments. Do you think John Fury and Carl Froch should actually fight? Or is this the kind of drama that boxing needs to move away from? Are you Team Fury or Team Froch, and why? If this breakdown helped you understand what's really happening behind all the headlines, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell because this story is far from over and things are about to get even more intense. I'll see you in the next one.